This is the Seahawkers podcast, live and uncatfished. I'm Brandon Schultz, and I am joined by my good buddy, Mr. Adam Emmert, as the Seahawks come away with the 20-17 victory over the Tennessee Titans. I know the score because our live executive producer, Samuel Gelber, is coming in with the 2017 Super Chat.
20-17 super chat for a 20-17 ugly win that is still a win, and I do enjoy the winning. And Brandon, would you rather do the winning or the losing?
Winning still is better than losing, and ugly wins are better than pretty losses, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. But yes, very interesting game in terms of, you felt like going into this game, the Titans being who they are and where they are at this point in the season with all the injuries and all of that, you would think that the Seahawks should, kind of own this game for the most part. It may still be close, but they are always kind of in control. Not the case today. This was a dogfight all the way through.
Yeah, and that was maybe the impressive thing when we talk about coaching and that sort of thing. Vrabel's one of those guys who maybe had his job on the line, and the way that Titans team played physically shows that they're not giving up on their coach. Our OG executive producer not giving up on us with a $9.99 super chat. So many clutch plays in the end. Tyler, Geno, Draymond, another win. Let's go. Yeah, we got Sam calling out Riq for making the tackle, or the hit inbounds that kept the clock moving, and to close that out. Had Boye Mafe getting sacks. He had Draymond out there. It made it fun, but again, maybe a little bit more than I could take. But I'm here.
I certainly may have had some cuss words throughout the entire fourth quarter. It was a little frustrating to watch a Titans offense that's struggled mightily in, especially the running game, which had been shut down a bit the last few games. You heard about Derrick Henry struggles and that sort of thing, to where they really did seem to struggle against the run, the Seahawks on defense, and really were getting jellied like the entire game. I think close to the end of the first half, or the first quarter, they already had 45 rushing yards. And then to see Ryan Tannehill run around and make some plays. Another reason I did not want to see Ryan Tannehill, and I'd rather have seen the rookie Will Levis, but he made some professional quarterback plays and kept him in the game. But a gritty win. This is Pete Carroll football through and through.
It is. Yeah. It's fun when you win, though. And you talk about the running game for the Titans, man. This was, again, you pointed out why you didn't want to face Ryan Tannehill. He's content with dinking and dunking. 18 completions on 26 passes, 152 yards. And if you break that down, yards per attempt, 152, do the quick math. Yeah, 5.8 yards per attempt, really low. But then when they're able to, on the ground, bust out 88 yards with Henry. And then you had Clinton Bonner calling for Spears and him having a good game. And of course he does. So with his 4.5 yards per carry, Ryan Tannehill picking up 2 big first downs. One on a play where initially I was questioning Kobe Bryant's decision to maybe take away what he ended up doing was taking away a passing option that Tannehill had running outside the pocket, because you can hit a receiver once the quarterback's outside the pocket. But then it ended up leaving a big lane for Tannehill to pick up a first down.
Did it seem that Tannehill had the idea of passing in his brain at all as he's rolling out of the pocket? That's just not who he is. I mean, once he makes that decision, then kind of stick with it. I often kill players that are caught in no man's land like that, as Bryant was there, for just kind of trying to play it both ways and then covering neither. So while I still feel like it was the wrong decision, at least it was a decision. And you went after the receiver and made it clear. So I guess give him credit for that. They targeted Kobe a good bit in this game. They did target the middle of the field again in this game a bit. And the defense was up and down. They played well for stretches, and then they would end up giving up a big long drive. And you're sitting there wondering to yourself, man, is this team good enough to win this game? And because if they don't deserve to go to the playoffs. But they did manage to pull it out in the end. And Geno Smith had a big drive at the end of the game.
Yeah, whether it's Drew Lock or Geno Smith, it doesn't seem to much matter. It's all about getting that win in the fourth quarter. and able to get it done again. We saw some nice plays. Well, shoot, talking about the game-winning drive, how about the catch by Colby Parkinson in the end zone in traffic? Getting hit, able to hold on to the football. He finishes 3 catches, 17 yards, and maybe the biggest touchdown catch that we've seen from Colby Parkinson.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the biggest one, no doubt about that. And that was, like they said on the broadcast, a man's catch, no doubt about it. Nice to see him go to the tight ends and to Colby in the red zone in that situation, because in that situation, being down on the goal line, ended up with they took a sack there, right? Where they got backed up a little bit, or was it a penalty? Geez, I can't even remember now. Holy smokes. But point being is, during that sequence, you're starting to get nervous because of the red zone struggles of the Seahawks, because of the fact that the Titans have been good in the red zone all year defensively. It was Charbonnet getting blowed up in the backfield for a negative play. That's what it was that pushed him back there. And at that point, it's like, man, are they going to be able to punch it in here? And we've been calling, or at least I think I have, for Parkinson to be able to body up guys in the end zone in those situations and use that big frame. And he did it there, and with strong hands pulled it down, man. Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Camden pointing out in the chat, congrats to the Loves family and their new baby. And yeah, Julian Love, new baby here, and he was able to get out on the field and help get the win too. He wasn't able to, we didn't have a game-winning interception this week from Julian Love, but we'll give him a pass since it is his first game back as a new papa.
For sure. And I don't even need to give him a pass, because him and Diggs and a lot of the secondary, they were playing with some energy today. There was a lot of big hits from the defensive backfield throughout the game.
And I think that was important, because when you talk about the way that the Titans were playing physically, look, if the Seahawks were to have lost this game, it would have been due to the physicality and the way that the Titans were playing on both sides of the football. Their defensive line were getting after it. They, even with Charles Cross and Abe Lucas in there, they did not have a whole lot of time for Geno Smith to throw the football when he was dropping back. That was a big part of the game. And then conversely, I felt like the Titans' ability on offense then to run the football and push around the interior of the defensive line and even get outside. That was the story of the game to me up until the game-winning drive.
You are so spot on with that, because as I'm going through the game, I'm writing down, we're getting dominated in the trenches. And then I had to go back and scratch out dominated, because I feel like I know I fall victim to it, much like everybody in today's day and age. Everything's the best or the worst and all that stuff. We're getting dominated. Well, they weren't getting dominated, but they got beat in the trenches. They lost the battle in the trenches for sure. And it did feel like Cross was struggling a bit more than Lucas. That's for sure. Against a defensive line much weaker than they've seen the last 4 or 5 weeks. And that's the up and down play of this team that is so maddening at times.
Right. The other thing that was maddening, we saw penalties that just didn't need to be committed, especially late. And those things, were upsetting. We had weird calls by the officials that Pete had to challenge, and one catch of Jake Bobo's that they decided that wasn't a catch, even though on review looked exactly like a catch. Frustrating for Camden there. Woolen dropping a pick 6 late in the game. And not frustrating, a $2 super chat from Seahawks 17. Joyce Noel.
Hey, appreciate it, man. And happy Christmas to you as well. And the DK touchdown, that challenge that Pete had to use there, Britt actually had walked into the room and just saw, she's like, what is going on? Why are they stopped? And I was like, Pete had to challenge it because they called that not a catch. And they showed the replay, and she's like, yeah, but he caught it. And then his feet are in the end zone, right? I was like, yeah. She's like, I don't know anything about anything, but that's a touchdown. And I was like, yeah, I know. It's just annoying. There were some annoying calls like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Tyler Lockett one on the sideline, right? Where he caught it and stepped out of bounds, and they reviewed it, and we had to sit through, 15 commercials while they reviewed that play.
Yeah, that is true. Now, to the officials' credit, they got both those calls right upon review at the very least.
Yeah, and I felt in the moment, too, that the throw down the middle to DK that set up the goal line touchdown, it seemed like maybe ticky-tack pass interference. On review, that looked right. The one that was questionable, I suppose, was D-Hop running through Trey Brown and getting a defensive pass interference call. But
that's an egregious call. That's an egregious call. Trey Brown got flagged for being a person that stepped onto a football field legally. Right. That's what he got flagged for.
I think maybe because he got his feet crossed up a little bit and then D-Hop took advantage of
by
that.
the receiver.
I think that he was.
How dare he?
I know. I feel like if that's a move that you're going to make, that may have been, a playing to the officials type move by D-Hop, and that was one of the few moments that I feel like we even saw DeAndre Hopkins in this game. We've got Carly Perkins coming in with a $4.99 super chat. That Lions win gave us a playoff spot for now. Lions seem to help us get to the playoffs a lot. Go Hawks. Love the Lockett. Love that Lockett had a good game.
Oh, 100%. Tyler showed out today, had a lot of big catches towards the sidelines. That was one of the things I think offensively that was a little frustrating, is we saw them use the middle of the field more effectively against the Eagles. And it didn't seem like there were many routes being run to that area of the field. I'm not sure that it's a difference between Geno and Drew in that situation. It felt more like a play calling thing.
Yeah. And Tyler Lockett, 8 catches, 81 yards. He did not have a touchdown, but DK Colby coming up with the touchdown passes. JSN, also a nice game from him. 6 catches, 61 yards. Had the nice catch over the middle to get the first down. Although I think that one, they could have gotten bailed out by the officials because there was a holding call on the outside. But JSN picking up the first down there. And so we didn't even need to talk about that particular call.
That's exactly right. And kept the drive moving. I think the announcers pointed out they were 5 of 6 in the second half, third down or something like that, going down the stretch there. And that was something that you hadn't seen out of the Seahawks. And it's interesting the way they play up and down to the moment. And I don't even know if it's up and down to the competition, because that's usually the story people tell about teams that are that way. It more feels like it's to the moment than it is to the team, right? Like eventually you get into the second half, they're like, oh, time to play up now. Because it's you're down a couple points and all of that.
I felt that way too, because it was just the way the game started. We're used to maybe seeing the Seahawks get off to quick starts with their design plays, and we got some nice up tempo movement on that first drive too, where they moved the ball and then they got up to the line and were running a play again. And so it's like they had this idea to be aggressive, and then. Then it wasn't until that the Titans scored that the offense then started to move the football a little bit.
Absolutely. And it's almost like they need to feel the pressure to get going. I saw this comment here, and this was interesting to me because there's obviously people who are calling for Drew Lock at every other second and all of that stuff. And that's fine. If you don't think that Geno Smith played exactly like Drew Lock in this game, I don't know what to tell you. Like it's the exact same performance.
It was the exact same game.
Very middling throughout the entire game. Missed a few easy throws that you should absolutely hit, and then in the clutch moments come through and lead a game-winning drive. It's the exact same game. They're the same dude. Geno Lock got it done.
They did. We got Seahawks 17 coming in with a $2 super chat. Screen passes that get positive yards. Thumbs up. That sounds like an in-worthy play for our upcoming 3 in 3 out show.
Yes, because I do like the moderate positive yards that you get from the bubbles that the Titans sat on all game.
Or just run the ball.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, K9 was electric when you gave him half a chance to run the football. When the offensive line gave him just the slightest crease, he was making things happen. And Sharps didn't get enough touches today either.
No, just 2 touches on the day for Sharps and 16 touches for Walker, 54 yards, but he was getting hit in the backfield almost immediately on several of his snaps too. Again, I think the O-line was just getting blown off the ball a little bit too much. Jay Smith coming in with the 12-12 super chat. Don't look now. There's another catfish flag against the Seahawks. I think they're flagging Pete for unsportsmanlike conduct for his press conference comments.
One of the funnier moments in the game, even though it wasn't funny at the time, in retrospect, it's funny. DJ Dallas catching a punt and then taking a full-on swing at a dude. And then they show the replay after they throw the flag and call him out for it. And he's on the sideline just apoplectic. What? How can you call it? Yeah, you can't throw punches at dudes. You can't do it. They're going to call that.
Yeah, and you're lucky you missed, or otherwise that's a ejection. But I think he was mad because the guy was right on top of him as he was fair catching, and then another Titan came in and bumped the other guy who was standing close to him after he had made the catch into DJ, and I maybe he was just taking a swipe as to push him out of the way, and then it just looked like a whiffed punch. But either way, yes, not shocking.
Yeah, not shocking. I don't know how you try to fight off that one, but let's give the defense some credit towards the end of the game and on that last drive. Pass rush really stepped up, and Mafe had a big game. We've been waiting on that. It's been a little quiet for him. And then Draymond earned his money today, coming up with the big sack down the stretch.
Yeah, big game from Boy with the two sacks. And I see Flocktimus Prime in the chat calling that out. Mafe also had 5 tackles on the day and 2 tackles for a loss. I guess, do they count sacks and tackles for the loss is the same? Bobby Wagner also had 2 tackles for a loss, but he had 1 sack. And where do I see Draymond? But like you said, sack for Draymond. And yeah, just 2 tackles overall on the day, but that 1 sack coming in a big moment.
Yeah, because I found myself throughout the game being like, at this point, I have seen so little out of Draymond that in terms of splash plays that you're wondering, do they move on after this year? And, make sure they have that extra money to sign Big Cat, who had another nice game as well. Because him and Jared Reed are quite the tandem.
It is. Yeah, they're a good tandem. I think they do have to find a way to sign Big Cat, but we didn't see a lot of big splash plays from Williams in this game, but I suppose it can't be every single week. We've got Gambling Goat coming in with a $5 super chat. Can we talk about how bad the last 2 plays for the Titans were? We think Waldy is bad. Imagine doing what they did, and Gambling Goat's talking about Ryan Tannehill throwing over the middle essentially, and then not getting it enough, out to the sideline that allows the receiver to stay in bounds. So part of that, I don't know if you can put it on their OC, but you can definitely put it on Tannehill for his backup quarterback play. So, and as much as maybe we feared Tannehill being the backup quarterback when it came down to those final moments, Tannehill is not clutch. He is anti-clutch.
No. And I wasn't, in full on panic mode at that point, as maybe I was when the Hawks were down and they had the ball on their final drive. And it's like, man, we got to get the score here. Whereas when Tannehill's driving down the field there, you're like, okay, they only have 1 timeout. And that sequence where it looked like they were maybe going to spike it, but then didn't. And half the team felt like they were going to spike it, but then they kind of ran a play. Yeah. That was weird. No doubt about it.
Jeremy Green with the 199 super chat. That sack from Bobby up the middle was awesome. Yeah, he saw his opening and he took it, got the sack there. So yeah, overall, again, the defense coming up with plays when ultimately they needed them down the stretch. It was, I suppose, the good thing about going up late in the game the way they did was then in that offense, especially once they got the sack and the Titans were completely out of timeouts, then at that point, okay, Derrick Henry running the football up the middle, that plays out, and that's been the play that's been beating this defense most of the game.
For sure. That certainly helped the situation there. Although with Derrick Henry having the success that he did, I didn't think that Bobby and Bush really had that bad of a game. They played fine. It was a massive bummer, though, to see Jordan Brooks go out with the ankle injury. I don't know how severe that is.
No, he was questionable to return, and I see some people talking about wondering if he's going to be out for a couple weeks after this. So we'll have to see if that happens. That'll be a big hit to the defense. We've got Benson DeWalt with the 199 super chat. I'll take credit for the dub with my clutch enchiladas. Ooh, Christmas Eve enchiladas. I kind of like.
Heck yeah, I'm into it. Now I need to know: are they like chicken, pork, beef? Like, what are we? Yeah, I want to know. I want to know the flavor of said enchiladas.
Need to know the meat. What meat is in your enchiladas? Seahawks 17 $2 super chat. Have you noticed the streakiness of the NFC teams? I suppose that it has been all streaks with big, then losing streaks in between. Seahawks, one of those teams. Eagles, one of those teams. Even the Niners, one of those teams with their 3 straight losses. So streaky there too. I'm hoping that maybe the the Niners can go on like a 4-game losing streak here pretty soon?
That would be a lot of fun. I don't think it's going to happen. I'd take a 1-game losing streak in the first round of the playoffs when we meet the Niners in Santa Clara. I'd take that.
There's your answer right there. Benson DeWalt. Shredded
that sounds
chicken,
tasty, dude. Yeah, you get credit. You get credit, Benson.
Christmas Eve. There we go. USM Seahawk 12, Tannehill reminding the Titans why they benched him besides the injury.
Yeah, I mean, that's the type of play that you get out of Ryan Tannehill, and it's just not enough. And it's kind of been that way his whole career. He's not a bad quarterback. He's just not a good one.
Nate Schutz, hey, let's talk about Woolen and how clutch that hit was after struggling the past few weeks. We did touch on it at the top of the show with Sam coming in, but yes, that was a clutch moment because, yeah, you could see in that moment most defensive backs just allowing the catch and then seeing that the guy's going out of bounds, allowing it, but Riq coming up, challenging it. And I saw some people in the chat too saying, I didn't even know that was the case, that you had to be moving forward when you went out of bounds for the clock to stop. And yeah, it's just one of the rules of their forward momentum. So, or I think you can get it in going backwards as long as you're going out without contact. So
yes, I was going to say, as long as you're not contacted. And yeah, I mean, give Tariq credit for, roaring up there and getting at least a good lick on the guy, make sure he goes out of bounds and doing it backwards. That was pretty sweet.
Clinton Bonner, Christmas gift for the guys. Like and subscribe. We've got over 125 folks in here and over 125 people. That's a fun time, especially on a Christmas Eve, Adam. We've got a ton of people in here enjoying this post game with us. Carly Perkins, so happy to have another win. 2 more wins until the playoffs. And we've got Jeremy Green with the $9.99 super chat. Merry Christmas to you too. I appreciate all you do. Go Hawks, Jeremy.
Oh yeah. Appreciate you too, Jeremy. Know that for sure. And look, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a lot happier days with their families here today after that victory. And the big story, even though it was ugly, even though it was frustrating, even though it was stressful, the Seahawks now control their own destiny. They went out and they're in.
And they're up against teams that have that ability to get the win. Although the Steelers, I mean, they played the Bengals tough. The Bengals have been going on streaks lately. Fortunately, that game going to be coming up at home. So I like that matchup against the Steelers at home. And then, closing it out against the Arizona Cardinals. Gambling Goat saying unreal that Riq made the game-ending tackle. That's right. I said Riq made a tackle. And I think he played the entire game out there on the right side. I think we just saw over on the left side switching out between Mike Jack and Trey Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait for Witherspoon to come back. I've had enough Kobe Bryant to last me 6 lifetimes. No, thank you.
He did remind us. I know that we've been kind of wondering, just because we haven't seen much of Kobe Bryant. And I think we saw enough in this game to kind of remind us of last year and say, okay, yeah, that Artie Burns or bust. If we need to see someone spilling, spoon in the middle of the field. Jorge Ortiz, how about the tush play with Dallas?
Yeah, the Dallas tushy pushy. When I saw it happen, I'm like, no, what are we doing? No, don't run a DJ Dallas. But then you start to think about it, and the idea that you put your quarterback behind center and then risk him taking a hit through one of those plays and putting in a running back who's got a little more push with their legs and all of that, used to taking hits. I kind of get it. I mean, it's not like you need to disguise it. There's no mystery as to what you're doing when you line up in that formation.
Have we seen enough of DJ Dallas? Does he have like high school quarterback in his background or something? Is that why we've seen him do things like throw bad passes and then line up under center for these types of plays? It makes me wonder.
He takes snaps. He absolutely does.
Camden McLaren, Hopkins did nothing. Trey shut him down. Yeah, D-Hop 2 catches, 20 yards. I'd take that stat line all day long.
Yep, absolutely. And that's what you expect. And really, ultimately, the defense did hold him to 17 points. That's a good day defensively anywhere in the NFL.
Samuel Gelber, Mike Jackson was solid on the right side. Why not have Riq play left and Spoon be in the slot? It's an interesting question about how I definitely wouldn't want Riq in the slot, but Mike Jackson on the right side. We just haven't seen Riq Woolen play on the left side much at all, whereas we've seen more of that out of Mike Jack. So you could end up making that switch and Woolen just being not as good on the left side as he is on the right side. So we see the obvious thing is that we're seeing Pete Carroll play with it. So maybe now that we've seen some of this rotation, maybe we could see what Sam's saying. And next week, shoot, maybe it is Mike Jack on the right side and they're switching out Woolen with Trey Brown on the left. But it does seem like the right side's more Woolen's home.
It does. And honestly, if it comes down to Mike Jack and Trey Brown getting more of the playing time when Spoon's back, I'll take Trey Brown. I think he's been better in coverage as a whole. He's not quite as physical as Mike Jack, but I do like his consistency better.
Danex asking, but why was Geno in on the tush play, just standing in the background instead of using a player to create space for Dallas? I think you have to, well, for one, you have to have a legal formation. And so where are you going to put Geno? You could line him outside. Anywhere that Geno is going to be, if you're trying to prevent him from getting an injury, he's going to be out of the background and out of the way anyway. So I suppose you have him there as a safety in case something bad happens with Dallas.
I mean, I guess I don't know that I've seen another team run the tush push with a player other than their quarterback taking the snap. So it knew that was the big creative wrinkle for the week.
Clinton Bonner still trying to make Trey Brown as a slot corner happen. We've never seen Trey Brown play any slot corner, but that's where Clinton wants him to be.
Hey, JR, look, I won't doubt his powers to bring these things to fruition. I mean, heck, he basically willed Tajay Spears to have a good game. So, yeah, maybe it's going to happen in reverse effect here with Trey Brown.
Yep, and Clinton $5 richer because of it. JR with the $20 super chat. Merry Christmas, boys. I need a new Seahawkers bumper sticker in my stocking. Mine on the truck is faded. K Seahawk. Send me an email, gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com, K Seahawk, and I have more stickers. I need to get more printed, but I do have a small stack left.
Yep, for sure. And appreciate you repping us out there in the real world.
Look at Floctimus coming in with the live production work throughout his high school career. DJ Dallas amassed a total of 1,599 passing yards, 2,502 rushing yards, 779 receiving yards, 430 return yards, and 55 touchdowns.
Dominant.
High school legend.
Yeah. Who needs AWS when you have Floctimus Prime?
We don't need AI. We just need Floctimus Prime.
Yep.
Jeremy Green recognizing Colby Parkinson getting mugged when he caught that game winner. Great game-winning touchdown pass from Parkinson.
No doubt. And, they were letting the corners play physical a lot throughout this game. Just think about the DK touchdown. The reason why it was in doubt at all was the fact that his arm was being held back when the ball arrived.
Yeah, the reason why DK had to double clutch and catch it in the back of the end zone was because he had to try and catch it one-handed before the defender dropped his hold on his other arm and allowed him to catch it with two hands.
Yep, exactly.
Well, a big thanks to everyone joining us here on game day. Like I said, a holiday where I'm sure many of us planning to spend time with our family, but we get the game out of the way early. The Seahawks get the win 20-17, and now we can all enjoy what it is we do on Christmas Eve day. If you are celebrating today, go open some presents, have some dinner with family. And I think with that, Adam,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.